Hello everyone, welcome to yet another day in this the Clown Decade, the decade where things are only going to get worse before they get better. And today, it's actually a good day, it's one of the more white-pilling days, because The Guardian have got into a bit of a strop and posted this onto X, formerly known as Twitter, and I'm going to exclusively call it Twitter because X is a stupid name. Why The Guardian is no longer posting on Twitter. And my god, wouldn't you know it, it is just absolutely ridiculous. So this is what the article actually says. We wanted to let readers know that we will no longer be posting on any official Guardian editorial accounts on the social media site X, formerly Twitter. We think that benefits of being on Twitter are now outweighed by the negatives and that resources could be better used to promote our journalism elsewhere. And frankly, I think the actual reason for them saying that it is now a net negative to be on Twitter/X is because of Elon Musk's addition of community notes, which, as you can see here, this opinion piece saying that basically two-tier policing is a myth and doesn't exist. The community added notes make the point that actually The Guardian has had plenty of articles in the past explaining that they think that there is two-tier policing in Britain based on race and sexuality and gender. And honestly, this is the real reason that The Guardian no longer want to post to X. They are nothing short of a propaganda outlet. I can say that quite comfortably, because I've done 105 episodes of Laughing at The Guardian, and I don't intend to stop anytime soon, because frankly, they are effectively state-funded, because half of their print sales go straight to the BBC, which is state-funded, or at least done through the TV licence. And so basically this newspaper is one that is effectively on life support, and as we will go through, they are clearly panicking when it comes to that life support, because clearly BBC money alone and the other half coming from wet morons in London is not quite covering the costs anymore. So this is something that we have been considering for a while, given that often disturbing content promoted or found on the platform, including far-right conspiracy theories and racism, as opposed to what we had before Elon Musk, which was exclusively far-left conspiracy theories and racism. The US president election campaign served only to underline what we have considered for a long time, that Twitter is a toxic media platform, that its owner Elon Musk has been able to use its influence to shape political discourse, as opposed to before when it was Jack Dorsey shaping political discourse, and then some other guy I don't remember. Twitter users will still be able to share our articles, and the nature of live news reporting means we will still occasionally embed content from Twitter within our article pages. You're never going to be able to get away from it. Our reporters will also be able to carry on using the site for news gathering purposes, just as they use other social networks in which we do not officially engage. Social media can be an important tool for news organisations and help us to reach new audiences, but at this point Twitter now plays a diminished role in promoting our work. As I say, it's because Twitter is now very capable of instantly, almost instantaneously, calling them out on their lies, and they don't like that. Our journalism is available and open to all on our website, and we would prefer people to come to theguardian.com and support our work there. Yes, you do that, but make sure to use an ad blocker. Thankfully, we can do this because our business model does not rely on viral content tailored to the whims of social media giant algorithms. No, it is being the propaganda machine for the BBC. Instead, we're funded directly by our readers, the BBC. You could support The Guardian today from just £1/$1. Yeah, this entire show of, this dramatic exit from Twitter, all it's for is to say, can you chuck us a quid, please? Look at us, we're doing something meaningful. Surely we earned your little pound, sir. And the answer is no, you didn't. I'm still going to read your nonsense for free. I'm still going to laugh at it. You do not deserve any money from me. The only reason I'd pay you is for entertainment purposes, but you're not trying to be entertaining. So why would I pay you for failing to provide decent insight and accurate news? You fail at both those things. Of course you don't deserve money if that is your intention. But this whole story just gets funnier to me when The Guardian are reporting on their own exit from Twitter as if it's headline news. Guardian will no longer post on Elon Musk's Twitter from its official account. Ooh. So scary. Platform's coverage of US election crystallised... Oh no, don't use the term crystallised. Not with that meme going around. Long-standing concerns about its content, says Guardian. Anyway, this article largely goes through the same article we just read, so I'll skip that bit. It does, however, expand on the point. Anti-hate speech campaign groups and the EU... who cares, have criticised Musk, the world's richest person, over content standards on the platform since he bought it for $44 billion in 2022. A self-declared free speech absolutist, the Tesla chief executive has reinstated banned accounts, including those of the conspiracy theorist Alex Jones. Why was he banned? The misogynist influencer Andrew Tate. Okay. And British far-right activist Tommy Robinson. Ooh. Yeah, that sounds like the type of thing a free speech absolutist would do. Thank you for making the point that he is indeed a free speech absolutist. The Guardian said Twitter users would still be able to share its art. Oh, you know that bit. But they do go into, Musk responded to us, though. Responding to the announcement, Musk posted on Twitter that The Guardian was irrelevant and a laboriously vile propaganda machine, based Elon Musk. Last year, National Public Radio, the non-profit US media organisation, stopped posting on Twitter after the social media platform labelled it as state-affiliated media. Fair. PBS, the US public TV broadcaster, suspended its posts for the same reason. Okay, I'm not going to lie, I have not noticed a difference on Twitter since I didn't even know they left. And I used to see tweets from NPR and PBS. I guess I haven't seen them in a long time. I reckon Twitter's just going to be better without The Guardian too. This month, the Berlin Film Festival said it was quitting Twitter without citing an official reason, and last month the North Wales Police Force said it had stopped using Twitter because it's no longer consistent with our values. I mean, naturally, the obvious reason for North Wales Police not posting things on Twitter is because every time there's a crime from a man, quote-unquote, everyone would ask, oh, can you give us a description of the man so that we can keep an eye out for him? And naturally, unless it was a white man, they would never give out the description because, you'd get comments like, oh, this is immigration, isn't it? Basically, that's the reason they want to leave, because people are pointing out that they have issues with certain policies that the police, unfortunately, now that they've been politicised, have to kind of die down that rhetoric. And that's quite hard to do when you're having to describe criminals, apparently. In August, the Royal National Orthopaedic Hospital said it was leaving Twitter, citing an increased volume of hate speech and abusive commentary on the platform. And this is the thing that I've kind of noticed from all this. None of this has really affected Twitter all too much. PBS is probably the biggest one there. That leaving Twitter, I don't remember hearing news about that. Nobody seems to care. And as The Guardian say, all of these organisations still go to Twitter. The police obviously are scouring the internet for naughty words. PBS do it for news, NPR do it for news. Berlin Film Festival probably have to go on Twitter to see if writers, producers, actors are promoting their material. This is effectively nothing short of a virtue signal. As the Guardian account even said, their journalists can still use Twitter in the capacity they used to. It's just the Guardian's not posting its own articles there anymore, as I say, probably because of the community notes thing. So instead of trying to actually improve their journalism and improve their takes, they've taken the opposite view of, let's try and actually reinforce this bubble we had. Which is nothing short of embarrassing. But this wasn't the only ridiculous article we had. We covered this in the last Laughing at the Guardian, but I'll go through it again. How the Guardian will stand up to 4 more years of Donald Trump. Obviously, this was posted straight after it was clear that he was winning the election. And this, by the way, is the editor-in-chief of the Guardian, Catherine Viner. This is literally the editor of the Guardian. The president-elect has made his disdain for journalism clear. His second term is a risk to free press and the United States and beyond. Help us to hold him to account. And as I said, I already went through this in the last Laughing at the Guardian, so, you've got a week and a half to look at our expanded commentary on this article there. But just to summarise it, effectively, it is Orange Man bad. There's bad geopolitical implications, such as Ukraine, Middle East, and American democracy. I want to make this bit clear. Their top priorities after geopolitics is reproductive rights, abortion, inequality, who cares about that, and perhaps most of all, apparently, is collective environmental future. Obviously, Donald Trump is a bit of a climate change, is a bit of a hoax, whereas actually he's got Elon Musk in there, who is massively for, well, let's just get solar panels up. which I'm basically in the realm of I'm fine with that if it goes on rooftops. Anyway, there's some quotes from some other journalists saying Orange Man bad. Project 2025 is brought up for some reason. Apparently that's Trump's thing. It's not at all. Apparently there's plans in there to make it easier to seize journalist emails and phone records. Again, it's not actually the blueprint for Donald Trump's presidency. That is just what The Guardian like to say it is, because they are fake news. It's kind of no wonder that Donald Trump is going after the legacy media. Anyway, this finishes off with this paragraph. We will stand up to these threats, but it will take brave, well-funded independent journalism. It will take reporting that can't be leaned upon by a billionaire owner terrified of retribution from a bully in the White House. If you can afford to help us in this mission, please consider throwing us £1 or $1. The work starts now. You will notice that there is nothing in this actual article that goes into detail of what they're going to do to stand up to Donald Trump, which was the title of the article. Instead, it's just, Orange Man bad, send us £1. Which, again, is nothing short of embarrassing. Anyway, the announcements from individual Guardian contributors were all the rage yesterday on Twitter. So Pippa Crerar, the political editor of The Guardian, wrote, "News from The Guardian Towers this morning. The Guardian has announced it will no longer post content on Elon Musk's Twitter from official accounts. However, I'm staying put for now, and most of the journalists probably will. Because everyone's on Twitter. Pretty much everyone who's politically active is on Twitter. It's just crazy to think that there's going to be no presence of The Guardian on Twitter. Of course there will be. They're just saying they're not going to post it in an official capacity on their official accounts. It'll all come from the journalists instead. I think out of all of them, the most interesting Twitter account now is Catherine Viner, though, the editor-in-chief of The Guardian. She's actually stuck to her word on this, and given that she joined in March 2009 and has over 100,000 followers, there's no posts anymore. She's actually completely deleted her account, more or less. I mean, I should rephrase that. She has kept her account, but she has deleted the entire archive. It's all gone. So Catherine Viner's probably the only person who's going to be sticking to her guns, but the thing is that that's because basically no one knows who she is. I do mean this. Having 108,000 followers is on the lower edge of being a Guardian journalist, especially a senior Guardian journalist. Typically, you'll see people with 500,000 followers. The other lowest one I saw was about 150,000 followers. But to be on Twitter for 15 years, and clearly you've posted in the past, you have to have that many followers. Having just over 100,000 really isn't much. So while it is significant that the editor-in-chief has deleted all of her old tweets, clearly it's kind of safe for The Guardian to let her do that, or for her to make this decision by herself, because she wasn't the reason people were going to Twitter to see Guardian articles and opinion pieces. I have no idea what her old posts used to be about. I imagine they were mostly just headlines from The Guardian and not much else, but still, at least someone is openly sticking to their guns. George Monbiot, probably one of my most hated Guardian journalists, because he's a massive Extinction Rebellioner, climate cultist, all that stuff. He did a bit of a thread on this, saying, "A few days ago, I wrote a thread about the pros and cons of staying on this platform and asked for your views. They were very helpful. As a result, I've decided to stop using Twitter from January 20. Why specifically that date? I imagine it's because that's Trump's inauguration, and therefore that is going to be the time Trump is in charge, and he thinks it's symbolic to leave Twitter on that day. In reality, he's got, what, less than 1,000 likes? For a journalist who has, what, how many? Yeah, over 500,000 followers. As I say, nobody cares. Nobody cares that The Guardian and their journalists are leaving Twitter. It's remarkably low traction, this story. Already I'm mostly posting now on Blue Sky instead, and that's another thing. Most of The Guardian journalists are shilling Blue Sky, which I haven't looked at it, but I assume it's yet another alternative to Twitter, which if it's anything like the other Twitter clones like Mastodon, it will have a nonce problem. I won't delete this account, as I don't want to lose the archive. It's also so he has an open door to come back to this platform when it turns out Blue Sky isn't that great. But I won't post anything here after then. Will you join me in setting January 20th a significant date for the Exodus? Ugh. I thought for a while about the best alternative, and it would be Threads, but Meta's deliberate downgrading of political content and suspension of journalists on Threads rules it out as a prime platform for people like me. Unironically based Musk there. I didn't mean Musk, I meant Zuckerberg. But yes, quite a few of the tech bros seem to be getting quite fed up with libs and the Democrats, so, you know, obviously you've got Musk who's going full force, I'm behind Trump, but also then there's Zuckerberg who's effectively just disengaging from all this. He doesn't find it useful. He doesn't want Threads to be this place for political discourse. Obviously that's Twitter more than anywhere else, and now for leftists it's Blue Sky. So I think he's made the right choice there. I'd much rather have that, have him admit that in the past he did kowtow to the FBI to hide the Hunter laptop story, things like that. I'd rather, disengaging from the whole thing is much more sensible than being put in this awkward position where you know you have to censor and you don't particularly want to. Obviously, I think it's better to do an Elon Musk, but hell, I'll take wins where I can get them. We no longer are under the Democrat liberal disinformation machine. It's a huge upgrade, and this is why The Guardian's leaving Twitter, by the way, because they do want to be part of that machine. One thing I'm very much appreciating on Blue Sky is what we once had on Twitter. Reasoned disagreement, as opposed to the tsunami of willful idiocy here which crushes real debate. I don't want an echo chamber, but nor do I want this bedlam. I mean, really, it should give you pause for thought if you have an awful lot of people giving you this tsunami of, you are absolutely mental, George, for example, wanting to bring wolves back into Britain to deal with the deer problem rather than, having farmers just shoot them. Because, it's the old lady who swallowed the fly story. Okay, you swallow a spider, but now you need to get rid of the spider. We've got the deer problem, now we've got the wolves. Why then are we all of a sudden seeing kids being eaten by wolves in woods in Britain? Oh, it's because we brought the wolves in because George Monboy demanded them. No, we got rid of them quite a while ago because it made everyone safer. There's wildernesses elsewhere in the world where we can see bears and wolves, and I'm fine with conserving them there. But over here, I think, the reintroduction of beavers is fine. The reintroduction of wolves is just mad. With thanks to particular to The Disproof, who is a UN climate scientist, quote-unquote, who suggested a leaving date of January 19th, but I think January 20th actually works better. To my lovely friends and followers here, I hope this will not be goodbye, but just a hello in another and better place. 300 likes. As I say, nobody cares. You go over onto Blue Sky, and his followers are just over a tenth of what he had over on X. And the engagement just isn't the same as what it is over on X. Okay, he's getting a few hundred likes, but you typically see a lot more replies and reposts than that. I'm also quite staggered at just how much of a clone of Twitter this is. I was expecting them to try and at least change the HTML, but it literally just looks like they've taken the source code from Twitter and copied and pasted it over. It is my genuine prediction that these people will get bored of Blue Sky. They'll still post on it, they'll just post on it at the same rate they post on Twitter, and over on Twitter they'll realise that they are getting much more attention, and that is then what will bring them back. Other Guardian journalists aren't as open as George Monboy about their disdain about Twitter. They're just posting kind of passive-aggressive tweets about, oh look, I'm on Blue Sky now. Again, with Nesreen Malik here, who's kind of a green Guardian journalist. I think she came in the past year or so. She's got, 70,000 followers, and on Blue Sky it's 12,500 followers. The only people moving over, really, are the politically engaged leftists and some centrist dads. That seems to be the main pull for Blue Sky, and the fact of the matter is that communists still love it on Twitter despite Elon Musk because they can say what they want. Centrist dads still go on it to let people know that they're still pro-Europe. This is all a virtue signal, is effectively what I'm saying. They'll all move over, but they'll come crawling back because there's just too much going on Twitter. It is the public square, and these people have said, tell you what, we'll go into the wilderness and make our own public square, and it just won't be the same. Same with Jonathan Freeland, again another type who's quite senior at The Guardian. He's been there for quite a few years, at least as long as I've been doing Laughing at The Guardian. Doesn't post on Twitter an awful lot, only has about 150,000 followers on Twitter, and he's got like 400 on Blue Sky Social. despite the fact that in one of his few tweets he's saying, oh, everyone else is at The Guardian's leaving Twitter, I am too, here's my social where you can follow me. And basically no one went to it. Interestingly, Owen Jones is either late to the party or just doesn't care. He is still a Guardian journalist, but I think his problem with telling people to go over to Blue Sky is that he doesn't particularly want to use it, and he has over 1 million Twitter followers. And to be fair to Owen Jones, an awful lot of his work is off The Guardian these days. He has his own YouTube channel, he does his own videos and I believe interviews as well. He just does the odd weekly, possibly twice a week article for The Guardian, and I'm not going to lie, we've not read him on The Guardian in a long time because all he goes on about is Palestine and Israel. And again, that conversation is absolutely huge on Twitter. So at the moment, Owen Jones hasn't said anything, and I'm not even sure if he has a Blue Sky. He'd much rather shill his Patreon, which I can't blame him for. Anyway, the normie reaction to this was, as I say, basically a who cares. The best centre-right article I saw on this effectively just said, The Guardian leaving Twitter is Elon Musk's greatest gifts. Throwing a temper tantrum over a billionaire's ownership of the social media platform is likely to backfire. Yeah, because one, they're just going to come back, and two, their reasoning behind it's really shoddy. Oh, there's far-right conspiracy theorists. Andrew Tate's back on it. Is this what you want from free speech absolutism? And most people's answer is, well, yeah. That's kind of the point. And the article goes into it, but effectively it's the same reasoning I've been giving. The Guardian are a propaganda machine, and now their propaganda is being questioned every day. Because it's always been absolutely ridiculous, officially as well by the community note system, and it's just humiliating for them, and it's just obvious that this is why they are leaving Twitter, because people are pointing out their absolute nonsense. And the thing is that moving to Blue Sky, you've got to have accounts where their whole gimmick is looking at Guardian journalists and the Guardian account over on Blue Sky, and just posting what they're saying there and saying, look how ridiculous they're being. So it's going to backfire anyway. Largely, as I say, this probably isn't going to make any difference to Twitter, because there are people out there who are literally making hundreds of pounds a month, literally just saying The Guardian are idiots. So of course they're going to go over to Blue Sky and say, hey, I'm keeping tabs on The Guardian. Then they get hundreds of thousands of views, and then they get paid by Musk to do that, because it brings in ad revenue. And there are articles elsewhere saying that advertisers are now coming back to Twitter, because Donald Trump's in charge. Clearly, they are seeing the direction things are going, and clearly the liberal consensus is falling apart at the seams. It's happening all over Europe as well. You know, Germany are trying to ban the ADF because they're too popular in a democracy, and obviously they're quite wary of not having a repeat of the mid-century, but ADF, as far as I can tell, you know, they're nothing like the mid-century Germans, so I wouldn't worry too much about that. And over in Britain as well, you know, you've got Kemi Badenoch, who, while not by any means the best that we could have had, is certainly to the right of the liberal consensus. And then everyone else who's in opposition is, you know, largely in opposition, I should say, is effectively reform. And then the opposition to Kemi Badenoch within the Tories was Robert Jenrick, both to the right of her. So even in Britain, there's a bit of a white-pilled future, and as I say, keep an eye on the Welsh Parliament, because those elections are coming up, and if Labour get decimated in there, you know, that's writing on the wall for this government. Again, should be quite white-pilling. Anyway, of everything that happened here, I think it was Clifton's suspension, Bridges' reaction that I could not... It still blows my mind that I'm going to be reading this. So X, formerly known as Twitter, has been a wonderful place to engage with our audience over the past 15 years, but the changes made to the platform in recent times has caused us to reconsider our use of it. With the rise in inappropriate content and decrease in meaningful engagement with our followers, we have chosen to no longer post this account. You will always be able to stay up to date with what is happening at the Clifton Suspension Bridge, including bridge closures and maintenance, through our website cliftonbridge.org.uk. If you'd like to continue following us on different social media platforms, we're active on Facebook and Instagram using @BrunelBridge. And the thing is that their last actual tweet was from August the 7th, so they've not actually posted in 4 months. And all they post about directly is about things happening at the bridge, such as this, the bridge is going to be closed to all vehicles and cyclists and pedestrian traffic from 6 till midnight on Friday, August the 9th, and Saturday, August the 10th, due to night close. Because, we apologise for any inconvenience. I assume this is the hot air balloon thing that's happening over the bridge, and therefore they don't want any traffic there, I imagine, because media personnel will be there, or maybe they have to do it for health and safety reasons in case a balloon falls on it, something like that. It doesn't matter. The point is that all this account ever did was post when the bridge was under maintenance, had an event going on, and if it wasn't posting directly, it was just retweeting things about Bristol. But again, it would do this pretty much once a month. In other words, a lot like the North Wales Police, this is nothing but an informative account, and this is their latest post. What, they've had 2 replies, 3 retweets, possibly quote tweets, and 13 likes, and you're trying to tell me that your engagement with followers has become toxic? Nobody knows who you are. This is just a pure virtue signal, because Bristol is one of the most leftist cities in Britain. They've got Green MPs now. It used to only be Brighton, but now Bristol is following suit. So again, this is nothing short of a virtue signal, and a really, really strange one. And what made this stranger is that Labour activist Carol Vorderman said, "Our beautiful Bristol Clifton Suspension Bridge has left Twitter with the rise in inappropriate content and decrease in meaningful engagement with our followers. Heart, heart." And even that's just total nonsense, by the way. Carol Vorderman will have no idea that Clifton Suspension Bridge had a Twitter account. And the most they got engagement was 70 odd likes for a nice picture of the Clifton Suspension Bridge. They barely get any replies, they barely get any retweets. They never had active users going on Twitter for Clifton Suspension Bridge, and they're trying to claim that, we've lost meaningful engagement with our followers. You never had engagement. This is just nothing but a virtue signal from someone in charge of the Clifton Suspension Bridge Museum. They read The Guardian, said they're leaving Twitter, I guess we should too, and they had to get some poor intern to write that nonsense up. And then of all people, Carol Vorderman, who, as far as I'm aware, she was born in North Wales and has basically lived in London the rest of her life. Actually, I've just had a quick look on her Wikipedia page, and apparently she did have a brief stint in Bristol, but it was years ago. Either way, it doesn't change the fact that I don't believe that she ever knew that the Clifton Suspension Bridge was a Twitter account. And now she's got this faux empathy for Clifton Suspension Bridge having to close, well, not even having, just choosing to close their Twitter account because they want to follow what the cool kids at The Guardian are doing. And there were other Guardian orbiters like Otto English throwing out that they're probably going to be leaving Twitter soon, or at least implying to follow them elsewhere. Otto English said America, like Twitter, is soon to be in the hands of very rich, very lonely, very angry white men. That is projection to the highest degree, who ultimately hate themselves very much indeed. Yep, that's definitely projection. Head to Blue Sky, and by January we and the rest of the world will quite honestly won't have to listen to their S. Which, if there's one account that I never want to see on Twitter again, it is absolutely Otto English's. He just rubs me up the wrong way in absolutely every way. The man blocked me simply because I liked Enoch Powell. He is not a serious person. He writes absolute nonsense in his history books. And as far as I'm concerned, that man can stay in the bubble forever. He has absolutely no positive insight from what I can tell from everything he says. So, bye-bye Otto, you will not be missed. Neither will any of the Guardian journalists, actually, but still. Otto English is just a man I hate. Anyway, another reason they're all going to come crawling back to Twitter is because it apparently has been confirmed by the Twitter CEO, Linda Lacharino, that the platform usage has reached another all-time high today. So even after the election is all done, even after you'd expect usage to start dying down, it's still going up after Donald Trump wins. And I can't see it going down anytime soon, because Trump used Twitter an awful lot in his first presidency to announce an awful lot of things. As I say, they're completely snookered, these leftists. They need to know what's going on, and Twitter is the first place where people are going to find out. Because of Trump, because of other government officials over in America, in the UK, even throughout Europe. So they have no choice, and at that point, why leave at all? Well, this is effectively them just giving up, but it's a stupid way to give up because it's just for short-term virtue signalling, and I guarantee in probably 6 months' time I'm going to be making another video saying, look, the Guardian are crawling back. Effectively, this whole thing is the Jerry Daycare Centre in Rick and Morty.
I'm leaving.
Okay then, that was always allowed.
Just the Guardian throwing their toys out of the pram and saying, I'm leaving. And what happens in that episode? It's a scary world out there. They largely just get ignored, and they'll come crawling back to their safe space, which, even though Musk now owns it, is Twitter. Because the only real difference now is that there are official ways to call them out on their absolute nonsense, rather than just a load of anons that they can quite happily ignore. Anyway, with that, that is everything I had for you for today, so shill time once again. Videos out as and when I can make them. Next Monday it is the Antiquity stream yet again. We are carrying on with the Peloponnesian Wars. Tuesday it is Tosh News. Hopefully it will be a day of news, because hopefully the farmers will be causing quite a ruckus in London. Dustborn is finished, so the next game I'm going to be playing with Tharium as co-host is going to be Life is Strange. As soon as I have time for that, I will start that series. And of course, Laughing at the Guardian will be next Saturday as well. So with that, please do subscribe, become a channel member, give super chats and super thanks. All that stuff helps the channel greatly. And once again, thank you very much for watching. And until next time, goodbye.